because I've built confidence in one area and learned to stretch myself and built that muscle of stretching myself, I can feel a lot of fear and self-doubt in other areas and I can just go, okay, I'm gonna go for it anyway.
Yeah,
Like, what do I
so
have
you
to
do that.
lose?
Welcome to The Way of the Muse, a podcast for women who want to create richness in every area of their lives, from business and career to lifestyle, relationships, family, purpose, and fulfillment. I'm Gigi Sage.
And I'm Makena Sage. We're a mother-daughter coaching team, and combined, we've spent over 4 decades helping people create their best and most fully expressed lives. If you're ready to step into your bigger dreams with ease, fun, and flow, you're in the right place. Let's get into the episode.
Welcome, everyone. We have a great topic today. Hi, Gigi.
Hello, McKenna. Good to see you. Yes, this is a common topic, right? That we have come up a lot in the work that we do.
Very common. So if any of you listening have ever struggled with self-doubt, fear of failure, limiting beliefs, this is the episode for you. We could probably do multiple episodes on this topic, but we're going to dive deep today and really talk about what do you do when you have bigger dreams, but you feel afraid? You feel self-doubt. You wonder, do I really have what it takes? So, Gigi, we were talking a little bit beforehand, and you were describing how in your seminars for years and years and years, you would teach men and women and people about differences in our brains, about what's actually going physiologically, what's going on differently in, the male brain versus the female brain, generally speaking. So would you tell us a little bit about that and how that ties into self-doubt?
Yeah, I think this topic, it's important to have a little history in terms of with men and women. Again, this is generalization, but as you say, I taught that for many, many years in my seminars. And it was that our brains are wired differently. A male brain and a female brain is very, very different, and we process information very differently. And of course, that's on varying degrees between people. But I want to make some generalizations. And one thing is you can think of it like this. Men think more linearly, which is logical, right? And women think more multifaceted, which is more emotionally. And so the other thing is the way we're wired is men are able to separate the sides of their brain. They're able to sit in their logic and separate that from their feelings. And for women, we have information goes back and forth to both sides of our brain. We're always connected to both our logic and our feelings. So because of that, women are extremely intuitive, and they're also connected in such a way to everything. We feel and sense everything. And you ladies that are listening know that, you can go into a situation and often you can tune in to what's going on with people. You're sensitive to what's going on with your children, your partner. And so what does that have to do with self-doubt is because of that, we're a bit reflective, and we're always thinking about and tuning into how we feel.
So we have a bit more of a predisposition, you're saying, to self-doubt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's not that men don't feel self-doubt. And again, there's ranges on a spectrum here. Some men are more intuitive and some women are more linear logical. So we have this, but the way our brains are actually wired, you're saying, is that we are kind of operating on all these different spheres at once. Is that what you're describing?
Absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so with that, there's this tendency, I don't know if anyone listening has ever experienced that, but we're so hyper aware of what's going on around us and other people and how they feel and so on and so forth, that kind of creates more of this tendency to go, well, what do they think of me? Or, comparing ourselves to other people and things like that. So if you've experienced that, first of all, I think just to know you're not alone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest things we hear because we really work with people around stepping into your bigger dreams, growing your business. And women go, some of the things they say are what, like, do I have what it takes?
Mm-hmm.
Can I provide value?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Other people have done it all before.
Right.
And I'm curious though, because we've seen that sometimes there are women that we work with who are very confident in one way, right? They're successful, they're go-getters, they have a lot of confidence, but you always say that they also sometimes have self-doubt. Tell me about that.
Well, I think the areas where we have educated ourselves, where we have a strong skill set, we're confident in those. But when we step out to do something new and different and something that's a little bit more risk, then women start to question themselves. We see this so many times. And because it's not an area they're developed, where again, we're generalizing here, but I see with men very often they'll take risk. They'll take risks, they won't think about it, and they'll just go for it. And if people think badly of them, they don't really care, And if they do, they internalize, they don't talk about it. So we find though with women that when they're good at something, yeah, they have that confidence. But when we're working with them and they're growing and they want to evolve and they really want to go for their dreams and they want to step out and maybe do something that's different, it's more out there, like for you when you went into being more self-expressed. How was that for you? I think to share that.
Yeah, I think I've touched on it before, but just to recap, when I stepped into coaching, at first I had a lot of fear, a lot of self-doubt. And this has been true not just with coaching, but stepping more into photo shoots and modeling and following a lot of my different dreams. And it was scary, and it continues to be scary whenever I'm stretching myself. And that's one thing that I think in the beginning I thought the fear, I mean, I don't know if I thought this specifically, but I almost wanted to get away from the fear and self-doubt. And something that I've definitely learned over the years is that the fear and self-doubt is actually a good thing because it means I'm stretching myself in some way that's like important to me. It means that I heard it said once that whatever's closest to your heart and soul, that's where you're going to feel the most fear and self-doubt because it means something to you. And I was like, wow, that's so right on. And so over the years, you've really supported me to move through, and we're going to talk about in this episode some of the things that you've shared with me, but to move through a lot of that fear, self-doubt. But I think people assume that because I say that like, oh, I don't experience it anymore. And that's not the case. Now it's just when I experience it, I go, okay, this is normal, and it's a sign that I'm growing, that I'm stretching myself, and that's actually a good thing. So that's kind of been my overall experience there.
And I think the important distinction to make there is you still feel the self-doubt, but you choose to take action anyways. Where often the self-doubt, if we believe it and we take it on, it stops people. It stops them from going for things. And so it is learning how to take that and continue to move forward because, you can listen to people who have been speakers for years, and some people still, before they get on stage, they have an enormous amount of fear. They doubt themselves. What do I have to say? What do I have to contribute? But they practice long enough and continue to do it and just get back out there. So it's a muscle. And I always say this in the first few years of getting up in front of people, which is the last thing I ever wanted to do, I had so much self-doubt. I still have self-doubt all the time. We talk about it, right? On certain areas. And I, again, had support in such a way that I had a mentor that's just like, you got to get out there. And then also I had dates set up. I had no choice. But what happened over time is getting up and doing it consistently, confidence built because it was an area now that I felt like I knew, like we talked about, we are confident in the areas where you feel like you're good at, you feel like you've practiced. So the more you practice, the more you step in and go for it, then what happens, the more confident you become.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, even you get nervous sometimes before
Absolutely.
standing up and teaching a seminar or before recording a podcast episode or whatever it might be. And there's also this confidence that's there because you've done it for so long. The other thing I think you touched on that is really powerful is this piece of feeling self-doubt, but taking action anyway. Because something I see is that a lot of times there's so much talk about, limiting beliefs and rewiring your thinking and your moving through your fears and doubts, which is so powerful. And at the same time, I see people get fixated on that. So much of the time when people come in, maybe they're going through a business coaching program with us or whatever it might be, and they say, I need to work on this self-doubt or this limiting belief more. And there is a time and a place for that. And we do have processes we take people through to look at, okay, where did this come from sometimes, or how do you let this go? And sometimes it's just like, take the action anyway. And that's something you really taught me was like, I didn't just sit there and work on my fears and self-doubt. So when I got started in the coaching and you were mentoring me, you said, get out there, start talking to people, start sharing what you're doing. And in that, you will start to build confidence. But it took time. I was pretty pretty nervous for a really long time. And it's so cool because now, 6 years into doing this full time and a lot longer, of course, that you and I have worked together on and off, but 6 years into doing this full time, there is a certain level of, okay, I can get in front of a room or I can record a podcast episode or I can put myself out there online or whatever it might be. And I'm like, okay. And even with the other areas of my life or the bigger dreams that I'm stretching to now, because I've built confidence in one area and learned to stretch myself and built that muscle of stretching myself, I can feel a lot of fear and self-doubt in other areas. And I can just go, okay, I'm going to go for it anyway.
Yeah.
Like, what do I have to lose?
Yeah. I've seen you do that. So you learn something there. So once you learn it, like you said, in one area, it's different when you learn a skill. If you think about when you went in and you learned your skill of organization, which you're so good at, right? So you have an enormous confidence in that area. But this, I think it also, a distinction is when we're putting ourselves out there and it's a bit vulnerable, and a lot of the ways that you're choosing to go for in your life, because one of your topics is self-expression, is to really put yourself out there and be seen and kind of in a way that a lot of people go, what is she doing or whatever, and we talked through that. And I said, if that's what you really, really, really feel deep inside, you have to go for it. You have to go for it. There will be the people who align with you, love it, and support you completely.
Yeah. I want to go back to what we were talking about with women who are very confident in some areas, but still have self-doubt in others, or you'd be surprised to learn that underneath they really doubt themselves. Another thing you've told me is that sometimes these women think, did I really deserve this? Or do I really deserve this? Tell me about that, how have you observed that with women?
Yeah. There's around being worthy, we see a lot of that comes up for people. It's not just women. And sometimes when they do something and it's amazing, they can't fully open up to just how amazing it is. Instead, they add that self-doubt again of like, do I deserve this? And so it's a practice.
A lot of that I think is kind of societal, or like there's this, people say it's not humble or something, or you're not grateful.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yes, you're not humble. That's a good one. Or, you're being too vain. But here's what I really believe, and this is what I share with all my clients. If it's something that's in you that you feel strongly, it's your dream, it's what you want to go for, it's the essence of you. It's like if your child comes to you and they are excited about something and you go, right on, how can I support them to go for this? And I think that's natural and you go for it. And, if for a while it seems like you're arrogant or whatever, life kind of teaches you. You learn from life, and you get a little bit more humble because of experiences and things like that. But the most important thing is really, if it's in your heart and it's what you want, to honor that so much, like, love yourself and love yourself like you would, like I said, if it was your child or something, and go for that. So, because you do deserve it. It's your desire.
I love thinking about that, like a little girl coming up to you, maybe it's your daughter, and she says, I want to be a ballerina, and she's dancing everywhere. You wouldn't say to her, like, you need to be humble and not be dancing around
Well,
and,
some parents have,
acting
I
like
think,
you're the,
but
yeah. But most parents wouldn't want to do that. They wouldn't want to put her lights out. They'd say, oh, that's amazing. And
yeah.
right. And she would, and that's just natural. We have that in us. And so it's to treat yourself the way you would treat, a little kid, like you're saying, that you really care about and want to see them really step into something that they love.
Mhm.
So let's talk a little more about that societal pressure part of, we see this a lot of women having this picture, this idea of what it means to be the perfect mom, or what it means, how they need to act, how they need to look, what they need to accomplish in order to be a successful businesswoman, or, that they need to have this certain body.
Yeah, another area that we see is women feeling this kind of societal pressure around things about being a good mom. There are ways that society thinks a good mom should act. I remember that way back when I was raising my kids. And one point, my mentor said, "You're not a good mother." I was like, "What?" And he just said, "You're not the kind of mother that needs to stay home with your children, be there all the time. You're a different kind of mother. You're a mother that wants to work, you want to get out there, and you want to have your kids with you." And so I had to really break this way that I saw that I should be as a mother, and not conform to what a lot of times society puts on us. And I did that. And then, like we've talked about, I lived a very unconventional life and made mistakes just like anyone. But that again was something that was really right for me. It was right for me, and it was the way I grew. It's the way my children grew in our life. And we all, had this lifestyle, but that came from me not conforming to what I thought was the right thing to do, what society told me.
Yeah, we could do a whole episode on this topic because mom guilt is a big thing, right? And I think something that you've really helped me with there as I begin my journey into motherhood soon is really looking at what is the way that I want to parent, right? What works for me? And I think that's so much with all these topics we're talking about around self-doubt is we often look around at everybody around us and go, oh, there's some kind of norm or there's some kind of way that people say you should do this thing. And then we compare ourselves to that and we usually fall short. So whether it's, how you want to be a mom or having the perfect body or what you think a successful businesswoman might be, there's this idea in your mind, most likely, or this thing that people around you have told you about what that means. And then when we're constantly comparing ourselves to this ideal, we're usually going to fall short in some way because I don't think anybody really fits the ideal. And if they do, maybe that's what's natural for them, or maybe that's something they're working really hard to keep up with. We just don't know, right? So kind of taking the pressure off there is a big one, finding your way.
Finding your way, because everyone's different. Every woman is different. And you want to find what's your way and the way you're going to, go into your business, express yourself in your business, grow your business. Like you said, how you're going to be a mother, what kind of relationship you're going to have, how you're going to live your life, because you can't compare what other people are doing and take it on yourself because it's not often aligned for you. And so then it feels bad. It feels frustrating. And then we get in and then we want to quit because we think we can't do it like that person. But the most powerful thing to do there is step back and say, how would I do this differently? I see
It's a
this
great
person
question.
out there and I see them going for it, and I feel like, oh, I could never do it that way. Then I think and I go, instead of comparing, I go, if I did want to do something like that, how would I do it differently? What would I do different? And write that down. Start to really dream that up. And then you start to create a way for you to go out there in your business, or a way for you to grow your family. As we talked about, even with my business, I traveled in my business and took my kids with me for months at a time, homeschooled the kids. And again, all that was very controversial at the time, extremely controversial. And I did it because it's what I wanted to do. And I found a way to create my work and my life around that. And you can do that as well. You just have to get off social media and stop going into what everyone else is doing, and then going into the doubts that you could ever do that, and spend some time with yourself and really see what you want and how you want to create.
I love that question of what would I do differently? And so much we fall into the social media comparison trap. And I think here's the thing is that you can look at other people on social media and go, take inspiration if it's really something you want. If it's really something you desire, you see someone that is traveling with their kids or that is speaking on stages or whatever it might be, and you go, something in you goes, I want that, then that's a good thing to notice and go, maybe there's a desire here. But what you're saying is not to go, oh, I could never do it because they're so good at that or because they whatever, and starting to compare yourself and be hard on yourself, but instead to go, how would I approach it and how would I do it differently? What would my way be? Yeah. I
Yeah,
love that.
that taps into the exploration of your dreams and what you want to do. When you see someone and you feel that nudge, and often it's because it is something that you want to do. And, we find this, that women will see some other woman doing something and then come to us and say, everybody's already doing everything I want to do. If it's in the same line of work, or same topic. And we'll go back to, no, 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 you have a unique way of doing this. And you've got to stick with it and go with it, because that's the main thing, is when you see that person and maybe they're a lot more successful, is that they got in there, they did, when they had self-doubt, they kept going for it. And believe me, if you went and talked to them as well, they would tell you they had 1,000 moments of self-doubt. Yeah. I really haven't met many people that say, oh no, I didn't have any doubt at all. Yeah.
Yeah, I always say, like, think of an author you love, or a speaker, or a celebrity, or whoever it might be, and imagine. We like to think probably in our minds that they didn't have a lot of self-doubt, but the truth is they're human. They probably did. And imagine if they had let that self-doubt take them out of the game, or they had spent so long trying to work on their self-doubt that they never took the actions to get to where they got. You wouldn't have those books in your life. You wouldn't have those movies in your life. You wouldn't know that message that they've shared. And you could say, well, there's a lot of other authors out there. What if they had said, so many other people have written novels in this genre before. What do I have to say that's any different? You might have missed out on something you love, right? Your favorite books of all time, because this author said, well, that's all been done before. And so when we flip the script there and we really put ourselves in the position of other people, we go, well, they're all unique, right? One author to a next. You're going to love one and maybe not resonate so much with the other. That's true for people with you too. There are going to be people out there who, whatever it is that you feel called to share, or however you feel called to put yourself out there, we're talking now more about stepping into, more success or business or self-expression. Then there are people out there that are going to resonate with you in the exact way that you have to share it. It does not matter how many other people are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the I feel like everyone's done it all before. There's also the, do I have what it takes? Can I provide value that we hear a lot of the time, especially when people are stepping into anything where they're working with people or they have a message to share or something like that. And then we hear this, well, I'll talk about mine, which was, it feels self-centered to put myself out there. That was one of the ones I felt when I first started.
Mm-hmm.
So I came to you and I said a lot of these things. I said, I feel silly. This was 2018 when I was starting to really grow the coaching side of things. And I started posting on Facebook and posting on social media. And I was just like, it feels silly and self-centered to like write all the time and put my pictures up and all these different things. And, what do I have to offer that nobody's done before? There's so many coaches out there already. So you taught me something called the self-doubt switch. I've since named it. And we've taught it to a lot of people, and it's been really, really powerful. And the concept is quite simple. The execution of it can be a little more complex. But will you just tell our listeners what you told me when I came to you? Do you remember?
Yeah, I said that when you are thinking about, that you're being self-centered and so much about yourself, you have your attention on yourself. And how you switch that self-doubt is you get the attention off yourself and onto the people you want to serve. Or go into your bigger why. Why do you want to do this? But it's really first to get the attention off yourself, get it on the people you want to serve. And because when you go out there and serve those people, that's so valuable. When you're thinking about yourself, you're not in service to those people. You're not present. Yeah.
This was such a big aha. I was like, what? I'm trying to build this business where I'm going to be in service. And you're telling me I have my attention on myself. But the minute you said it, I got it. I was like, oh, wait, my attention is on myself. I'm totally thinking about myself and how it's going to come across and what are people going to think of me and all these different things. And when you said get your attention on the people you want to serve, in my case, I was stepping into a business that was about service. And I thought, oh my gosh, you're so right. So I started really focusing there. And whenever I'd feel the self-doubt, I'd just go, okay, there are people out there. I know that I hope that I can help them. I'm just going to focus on that. And it helped me so much. And I even turned this into a whole guide because I've shared it with so many people. And not only a guide, but I recorded a little like short guided visualization. So we want to share that with you guys who are listening. If you want to go through this self-doubt switch process, you can go through this worksheet, listen to the visualization. And I would the visualization is the process that I would do before I got up to be interviewed on a podcast, before I hosted a webinar, before I spoke in front of a live group, before I got on an enrollment call. Like it did not matter. Anywhere where I would feel fear, self-doubt, I would take like 5 minutes beforehand, do this kind of closed eye process that I created out of what you taught me here. And it just helps so much. It's not that I didn't feel the fear anymore. It's just I felt more settled and like, okay, I can feel the fear and I can do this anyway because it's not really about me.
Right.
So
what stops so many people is, that hesitation. And, I've taught this to hundreds of coaches is when you shift that attention to who you want to serve and really look at who have you served and what's been the impact of that. And maybe that's coaches, or maybe you have a fantastic product you're selling, and where's it changed people's lives or made their lives better. And when you focus on that, it's not about you anymore. It's about the service or the product or the thing you've developed that's making a difference in the world. And so that is where, like you said, for you use that as a practice and started to learn and shift from the self-doubt and get less and less self-doubt over time. You still have self-doubt kick in, but when you shift your attention from, oh, it's not about me, it is about my client, it is about this person I'm about to speak to in a few minutes. And if I say one one little tidbit and it changes their life, and they go out and they approach their life differently or their relationship differently, that has a ripple effect to their children in so many different ways. But if I sit back here and I have my doubt and I'm comparing myself to everyone and I hesitate, I won't have that impact. That impact will take a very long time.
So that URL, if you want to download that free guide, is wayofthemuse.com/doubt. And I want to just say too, you mentioned if it's not about the people they want to serve, because some people aren't necessarily coaches or healers or something like that, where they're doing work with people. It could also be, like you're saying, about your bigger why. What is the why? What is the reason you want to do what you want to do? Is there, what is the ripple effect of that? That could be just on your own life, your children's lives, your friends and family. It could be the way that you get to show up and how, when you, let's say, make this money, you want to give back to the world in this way, or whatever it is for you, putting your attention on that bigger why. And there's usually a component where it ends up helping the world in some way or helping people in some way. So you can also kind of make the self-doubt switch about that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. If you have products, a skincare line, and it makes women feel more beautiful, that's an amazing impact to have, right? You want to make women feel more beautiful. That's your why. And so when you do that, women go out, their skin glows, they feel good, they feel younger, there's impact there.
Yes. So there's a lot more we could cover around self-doubt, but I think that's a really good starting point for this episode. If you have specific questions about this, you can always write into us at support@wayofthemuse.com. If there's kind of a certain lens on fears or doubts or limiting beliefs you're curious about or want us to help you. And then the other thing is you can always do an on-air coaching session. So you can go to wayofthemuse.com/on-air and apply to be coached in a future episode, because we can tell you lots of powerful tools and different things. But of course, when we get in there and work with someone directly, we can move much more quickly. So we hope you enjoyed this episode and look forward to seeing you next time. If you want to go deeper, check out The Collective, our monthly membership program that is 1 part personal growth and coaching, 1 part community, and 1 part fun. Think of this as the group of girlfriends you always wish you had, plus the coaching and support to step into the woman you're meant to be and the life you've been dreaming of. Every 8 to 10 weeks, we begin a new season, and this season is called Fearless. It's all about breaking through your fears, doubts, and limiting beliefs so you can step boldly into your biggest dreams. You can join the monthly membership for just $197 or sign up for the year and get an all-access course pass where you'll enjoy huge savings on your annual membership. You can learn more at wayofthemuse.com/collective.
That's our episode for today, but let's not make it the end of our love story. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and think of some women in your life you'd love to share it with. And if you want to learn more about our events and programs, visit wayofthemuse.com. See you next time.